We're from the saffron estate in Leicester, where Joe was from.
I actually live around the corner from Joe Orton's old house. Before I actually started this project, I'd never heard of Joe Orton.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have someone famous from our estate.
We got to interview his sister, and that was pretty cool.
Do you know Joe Orton or know of him?
No.
Not the foggiest.
If it's the same Joe, and then I've known him for a couple of months, if it's the same Joe.
No. What's Joe Orton?
No. Joe Orton, you know the name, can't quite think where though.
No. I know he was a playwright.
Anything else?
Not a lot, no.
Do you know where he lived?
Across there.
He was born in the old boot house that stood here.
Oh, goodness gracious, all those boot houses that were you know, knocked down, and you have wonderful houses there now. I mean, they might not seem wonderful to you, but good God, when you didn't have a fire sometimes, because you couldn't afford to buy the coal to put in the fire, and there was no such thing as central heating, you had one tap, nobody complained. Nobody, it was just the norm. You know, you're living now in the lap of luxury to what we lived in. We were extremely bad off. You know, I mean, I can remember going to school with huge holes in my shoes. I mean, and we used to have to put, we'd get the porridge oats box, and we'd cut out the shape of the shoe, and we'd put it inside the shoe to stop the cold getting through. Invariably, we hardly ever wore socks. It was just very different to how it is today.
I think that they were intelligent family, and there was always a spark about them, as though they were, you know, interested in living to the full. There was always that feeling about them. They did everything to the full. As I say, the way they lived was always to the best of their ability. So I'm not, and Leonie was an intelligent girl, if I remember right, so I'm not surprised that Joe was as he was, you know what I mean? He was obviously an intelligent man who was willing to explore the world.
I remember Leonie telling us about life on the Saff and what it was like growing up for her and Joe.
I liked it when she told us about her favourite memory of Joe.
Walking down to Marriott Road School, and he used to take me to school on his way to work. The wonderful thing I can remember is he held my hand and he would say, "Off you go then."
Off you go then.
He also belonged to about 5 drama groups. He loved that. That was his life. He found the theatre and that was his life. He loved performing. And he used to get really miffed if he got like a bit part, like a walk-on part in Richard III or something. The spear bearer.
The year is 1950. Joe Orton, then known as John, is bored with his job. He hates it.
I'm bored. I hate it.
After work, he rushes to the Little Theatre in Leicester to take part in an audition.
I've got to go to the Little Theatre and take part in an audition.
Next.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Next. Hello. And you are?
Orton, John.
Ah, yes, we have your information here. John Orton, 9 Fairhurst Road, Saffron in Leicester, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Off you go.
Okay. When I first found out they was getting married, I was a little angry. I was like, why? Why? How can you take them away from me? But then I looked over all of our memories together. Some happy memories. and some sad memories. I'm sorry. And some scared memories. Whoa! Huh? But then I remembered, I'll always be their friend. Their friend who could speak in many dialects and who has training in stage combat and is willing to do partial nudity. To the happy couple.
Yeah, I rather like that.
Yeah, very original.
Rather futuristic.
For such a young man, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Ah, it's perfect for the part.
Yes.
Dying Man, it's yours.
Dying Man?
Dying Man.
I played that last year.
But you played it so well last year.
It's got commitment.
It's got passion.
It's got drama.
It's got a line.
It's a great line. Ooh, I got shot. What's wrong, Queen?
Joe wins a scholarship to RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, the best drama school in the country, and leaves Leicester for a new life in London.
Joe did one at RADA.
Yeah, you met Kenneth Halliwell there and started studying, writing and started living together, didn't they?
Yeah, then they moved into 25 Knoll Road.
Well, it was always different in the capital city, wasn't it? It's going to be, I mean, there's going to be more tolerance. But, I mean, even in London, you know, I mean, you had to do it on the quiet. It had to be kept secret. And don't forget, you could have go to prison for it. It was a prisonable offence.
Look at this mess.
What? We'll get it clean in 5 minutes.
But Joe and Kenneth seem to live a very open relationship as far as sexual partners were concerned.
They enjoyed having a laugh together and mucking around.
It was just as the librarian said at the time, that it was an attack on their book supplies.
All rise.
Be seated. Commonwealth versus John Orton and Kenneth Halliwell for defacing and stealing library books. Will the lawyer of the defendant please approach the bench?
The respondent calls Kenneth Halliwell to the stand. Kenneth, In your own words, please tell the court what happened.
Well, Joe and I entered the library, and then...
Hello. I'll just come to check.
Could I just ask for your address?
Flat 4, 25 Knoll Road.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honour.
You may step down. Will you please call your next witness?
I now call John Orton to the stand. In your own words, could you please tell the court what happened?
Kenneth and I walked into the library, and all of a sudden...
What are you doing? Stop! Stop!
And that's what really happened. I mean, do you really think I could do a thing like that? After all, I have a wife and child to think about.
Will the defendants please rise? In the case of Commonwealth versus John Orton and Kenneth Holloway, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
I find defendants guilty. You are sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. Court is adjourned.
I thought the prison sentence was extremely harsh, but I think that basically it was much more to do with the fact that they were homosexuals. When Joe was in prison, the psychiatrist said to him,
You know, I think your friend Kenneth is homosexual.
"No." And Joe said, "No." It was lucky that it all ended as it did, with Joe being a successful writer.
He didn't really start getting famous until after he got out of prison. And he started writing plays by himself without Ken.
Yeah, and then his plays were getting put on everyone.
Yeah, and being from the south, that's an achievement.
I know what you mean.
We went to London for our honeymoon, and we were at the Shaftesbury Hotel, and Joe came to the reception, and he said, "I'm Joe Orton, I'm here to see Leonie Barnett."
She's on her way.
Thank you.
Leonie!
John. And I thought, oh, that just sounds so confident.
He kept in contact with Leonie and his parents.
Oh, my father wrote him a letter, that's right, and said, you know, it's been very windy here. We've had a lot of wet and windy weather. And Joe wrote back a letter to my father and said, it's been very windy here too. He said, last week I was in Regent's Park and I saw a nun get blown up a tree. My mother used to want to go down to London and see him quite a bit. And of course he didn't want her to go. And he would get Kenneth to meet her at St Pancras station. And he'd say to Kenneth, just tell her I'm out the country.
Hey Pete, come over here and listen to this letter from Joe. He's doing a film. He says the Beatles are going to be in it. He says, I had dinner with Paul about a week ago at Brian Epstein's house. Of course it isn't final yet. What I mean is, it's final that I'm going to write a first draft screenplay for the Beatles. But by the terms of the contract, they needn't go on with it after the first draft if they don't like the play or think it isn't suitable. Anyway, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Regards to Pete, love Joe.
As Joe's fame was rising, Kenneth's mental well-being was declining. Joe never did get to write the screenplay for the Beatles. On August the 9th, 1967, the bodies of both Joe Orton and Kenneth Halliwell were found in the flat on Nowell Road. Joe died from a blow to the head, and Kenneth had taken an overdose.
I don't think anybody knew until the day he died. It was in a paper called The Daily Sketch, and it sort of said something like they'd been living together and they were a homosexual couple. And I remember saying to my father, "Did you know Joe was homosexual?"
Dad?
Yeah.
Did you know Joe was homosexual?
And he said, "What's that?"
What's that? What are you doing? Leave it to me.
Threatening me.
There's no suggestion of threats.
What's he doing then?
Let her alone, boy. Keep out of this. Hear what I said? Keep out of this. Stop being violent. No violence at any cost. What's this exhibition for? It's gratuitous violence. Give over, both of you. Support me, you man. Support me.
Make him stop, or shall be sick. He's upsetting my staff.
What do you want to
I think that's amazing that producers and directors still want to produce this playwright.
Yeah.
After 38 years, 40 years.
Coming in here as a lodger, raising a charity home. The lack of common courtesy of some people is appalling. She's won. The bitch has won. We'll discuss the matter. We need action, not discussion. Persuade her. Cut her throat. Persuade her. Don't use that tone of voice to me, boy. I will not be dictated to. Perhaps we can share. Deal with her.
I have heard of Joe Orton.
What can you tell us about him?
He was a playwright in the 1960s, very avant-garde playwright, and wrote about things that disturbed a lot of straight people.
I know lots about him. He's a playwright and I work in theatre.
Tell us more.
Royal Court, 50s, anarchist.
He's a playwright. He wrote Loot, and I can't remember any of the others, but he's, you know, a comedy playwright. Black comedy, dark side of life, death.
Well, when I first moved in to number 11 across the road there, we lived next door to him. But shortly after we moved in, they moved out, or he did, when he went down to London.
Joe Orton's toilet.
Yeah, it's the original.
Is that the original? That's his original toilet.